Welcome back to Mystery Files, where we unravel the stories that gripped the nation and changed history. I'm James.
And I'm Patty. Today, we're diving into a chilling and fascinating topic, the biggest manhunts in U.S. history. These aren't just tales of criminals on the run, they're stories of obsession, fear, and the dogged pursuit of justice.
Absolutely. These manhunts span decades from Depression-era outlaws to modern terrorists, and they reveal a lot about how American law enforcement and the public responds to danger.
So let's set the stage. The FBI's 10 Most Wanted Fugitives list was first published in 1950. It was actually born out of a conversation between a journalist and the FBI.
Yeah, a reporter asked the Bureau who their most wanted criminals were, and when the article came out, it sparked huge public interest. J. Edgar Hoover quickly turned it into an official list.
And since then, over 500 fugitives have been added and more than 90% have been caught, often thanks to tips from ordinary citizens.
That's what makes the list so powerful. It turns the whole country into a network of eyes and ears.
Let's talk about one of the most infamous figures, Ted Kaczynski, aka the Unabomber. This guy eluded authorities for nearly 2 decades.
Right between 1978 and 1995, Kaczynski mailed or delivered bombs that killed 3 people and injured over 20. He had a deep hatred for modern technology and believed industrial society was destroying humanity.
It wasn't until he sent a 35,000-word manifesto to the media that things changed. His brother recognized the writing style and turned him in. That had to be one of the most gut-wrenching decisions.
But that move likely saved lives. Kaczynski was arrested in a remote Montana cabin in 1996, ending one of the most intense manhunts in U.S. history.
Now let's rewind to the 1930s Bonnie and Clyde. These two have been glamorized by Hollywood, but the reality was far more violent.
They were responsible for at least 13 deaths, including several law enforcement officers. Their spree lasted from 1932 to 1934 and spread across 5 states.
They were constantly on the move, always one step ahead. But their luck ran out when a group of Texas and Louisiana officers set up an ambush and shot them more than 100 times.
It was brutal, but the public fascination with them has never really faded. It's wild how some criminals become folk heroes, despite the lives they destroyed.
Another huge case was Eric Rudolph, the man behind the '96 Olympic Park bombing in Atlanta.
He killed 2 people and injured over 100, then vanished into the Appalachian wilderness. The manhunt lasted 5 years.
And during that time, he was living off the grid, raiding food supplies from gardens and dumpsters. He was finally arrested in 2003 behind a grocery store in North Carolina.
It's another reminder of how long some of these pursuits can go on and how determined some of these fugitives are to disappear.
Not all manhunts are about hardened killers. Take Angela Davis. In 1970, she was placed on the FBI's most wanted list for allegedly aiding in a courthouse escape that turned deadly.
But her case was complex. She turned herself in and was later acquitted of all charges. The manhunt around her became a symbol of racial and political tension in the U.S.
And she went on to become a civil rights icon and scholar. Her story reminds us that the most wanted label doesn't always mean guilt.
Of course, we can't forget the manhunt for Osama bin Laden, the mastermind behind the September 11th attacks. It took nearly a decade to find him.
He was eventually tracked to a compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan. In 2011, Navy SEALs carried out a raid that ended in his death. The operation was a major milestone in the fight against global terrorism.
That manhunt involved intelligence agencies across multiple countries, and it changed the way we think about national security.
So, what do all these cases have in common? Whether it's a lone bomber or a global terrorist, these manhunts show the lengths to which the government and the public will go to seek justice.
They also reveal how our fears evolve. In the 1930s, it was bank robbers. In the 2000s, it was terrorists and cybercrime.
And sometimes, the most critical clue doesn't come from high-tech surveillance. It comes from a brother, a neighbor, or someone brave enough to speak up.
These stories aren't just about crime, they're about resilience, determination, and the human cost of violence. And remember, some of the biggest stories in history start with one simple question: who's still out there?
Be sure to like and subscribe and tune in next time as we uncover more hidden stories from the past, and we'll see you on the next one.